Yeah, I have no option to change the thing. The title. I don't have the Twitch login. Yeah. I have to go to the LOLA podcast dashboard. I usually just go creator dashboard. Oh, he disappeared. Endeavor died again. Will this work? Oh no. Wait, that's not what I need. What the fuck? I'll be able to make it big enough eventually. Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Yeah, guys, I don't know. My computer is being really weird right now. Not like this for some reason. Can you guys see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I can only see maps on here, guys.
Well, that doesn't matter.
As
Because I have the stream.
yeah, as long as you can see me.
Sorry, I gave us a really, really solid. Oh, I fucking hate my life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, Water will be right
Pretty
there.
good. It's pretty good.
No, it was thundered up with numbers, but then someone else also had a
Fucking bitch. Knock it off. So I just made the name Astros isn't toxic since we're going to be covering my chat logs and I can't think of any other name. Isn't toxic. Because I'm not, I mean.
No, but
Alright.
are we live?
We've been live on Twitch for 6 minutes.
Dope.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Living Legends podcast. I am your host, Simply Bill, here with my friend Deborah.
I'm not toxic. I'm not.
You have an opinion on that, Blake?
I mean,
We saw the chat logs.
yeah, we did see the chat logs.
There are no. Nah. Dude, he was inting. It's not my fault.
Fucking listen, I pinged you 12 times.
Bot lane got roamed on. I mean, I told him, and then they were like, "What the fuck?" I mean, the most toxic thing I said was, "If you don't gank, I AFK," and then I said, "Open." I mean, but I didn't open. I still played.
Still said it.
I don't give a
that's
shit.
Pretty toxic.
Kane ran it down the whole game. He didn't get banned.
I do, okay, my favorite
League is
part-
broken.
My favorite part about this was listening to Noah and you're like, no mid Bryo. And then the very next thing is, you fucking moron. Like, I don't know what happened in between those two times.
But you can pretty damn well extrapolate it, yeah.
Totally imagine.
Well, think about it. All right, so it was no mid prio, and then it was fucking moron, and then it was fight you moron.
Fight me. That's my favorite thing. I encountered that the other day for the first time in a while.
Fight you moron. But yes, fight me is also good.
Dude, it's been a while. I was gonna say, it's been a while since someone's challenged me to, like, 1v1 me, bro. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Alright, are we playing Call of Duty all of a sudden? Like, what's going on here?
So I went on like this. I remember this game. I don't remember much about it, but I remember like flaming him for like a solid like 6 messages just like back to back. He was like, "Do you feel better now?" And I was like, "No, you're still my jungler. I feel awful." That was my favorite line. I give myself like 3 points for that one.
I know. I always come up with, like, a good, like, stinger of an insult, and then I type it, and then I realize, oh, shit, I hope that wasn't the one. Like, I hope that wasn't the one that makes it through to Riot.
Hey, the most important part, it was the secondary account, so it don't fucking matter, boys.
Alright.
I'm not, dude. I'm almost honor level 5 on my main. I'm not toxic.
Hey, yeah. So, do you guys want to talk about Clash? The Clash experience? Maybe?
Yeah.
So, so Astros, I want to hear a little bit, because Zill and I played together. So I want to hear a little bit from you. How was your Clash experience?
I played with you guys game 2, or day 2.
Yeah, on day 2, but for the first 3 games, we weren't with you.
Wait, can I still find these in my match history? Cause I'm gonna have PTSD.
I think.
All right.
I think the first one was close, and then the last 2 were wins, right?
For me?
For you, yeah.
No, my first game wasn't close at all. My team entered.
Oh.
Where is it? Where is it? I'm 10-5-3 on Hecarim Jungle, and my team is 2-5-1, 0-5-3, 1-7-3, and 3-4-2. It was a real fun game.
So did you feel like it just went wrong, or did you feel like the matchmaking was poor?
I think my team just entered.
Okay. But so, I mean, and that's League. That's the League that we always will know and love. But overall, did did you like the bracket experience? Because I had a lot of fun with the bracketing.
I mean, all the games were like, I don't think I played like a single close game. All 6 games or 7 games or however many we played.
Just kind of like a stomp.
They were just stomps in either direction. Yeah. So like, after my team entered the first game, like everyone decided to just pop off the next game, and then the game after that, everyone just popped off again, and then
I kind of do the whole stomp in either direction. Like our first game, like I think Danger described it this way. We were like midway through, we were like, let's not play like a single point, and was like, yeah, this is a stomp. And then Danger was like, yeah, but we played well. We played really well. In spite of the fact that we didn't know it was going to be a stomp. And I felt like that was pretty true. We had really great communication, a really good shot calling going on, and then yeah, we just like woke up and were destroyed. And that kind of happened with our 3 games. Our last game we played, it was like it was against Smurfs or it was against like people who were it doesn't have a skill level that what they were ranked at. They were ranked silver, but they were like
Well, and they were level 30 accounts.
Oh,
Like they were level 30 to 34.
and so yeah, it looked like 3 of them at least were Smurfs, and they were absolutely beating us really well.
Oh, I got crushed in the top lane to start. Like, I think I got towered out twice before level 6 and was down like 0 and 3 on Yorick into a Fiora, which is already not a fun matchup.
And it's like, I don't know, this is the thing that you're supposed to be trying to like crack down on Clash, right? Is like from the talent being upset. I felt like I didn't have to do anything to get in the Clash other than have my phone number on there.
Well, and that's the thing
Back.
though, is like having your phone number. So they're basically their anti-smurfing measures were to have a phone number associated, right?
Right.
Which sounds like a good thing, but the thing is it's like if you're creating a fresh account that's low level, like you can't play really in more than one Clash tournament at a time, as far as I understand, right? Because they'd probably be overlapping in games.
Right.
So like you already would just pick the lower ELO one if you wanted to Smurf on it, and then just take that one. I don't know, but that being said, I mean it didn't end up being too egregious, that Smurf game. And to be honest, like I've had equal games where just a series of misplays would have led to that same type of game. So I didn't feel like it was like broken matchmaking necessarily. I mean, it was definitely a lot more challenging than the first 2 games. But overall, we pulled ourselves out of a nosedive eventually, and they didn't have the good sense to close it out and turned it around. I mean, how long was that game? Like 45 minutes almost?
Dude, I feel like that was close to a 50-minute game. I think
Yeah.
it was 49 minutes.
That was a long one. And like the back and forth barons, the TP to base. Jeez.
Yeah, actually,
But
I'm just gonna pull
but I mean, but it's so much more satisfying when you do like pull a game around.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but in that game, so where do you think we finally went right? Because obviously we started off really poorly, and gave them a big lead.
I think that was the game I was playing Cass, and we had like
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
we had a comp that scaled right, and I think it was about that time we were just like they're going to win, and they just didn't push to win, and then it was I think Deja and I were like kind of contemplating it back and forth, and it was like if they don't win here or if they don't win now, because they got our Nexus down to like 1/3 health I think, and then we beat them off when we respawned, which was like stupid.
Oh, you were beating them off still?
Beating them off real hard.
All right, good.
Both hands on my computer. And yeah, it was just like at that point in time, if they didn't finish, then it was going to be much harder, infinitely harder for them to actually be able to close that out.
Yeah.
I forget. I'm trying to pull up the match history here.
Yeah, I've been playing a whole lot, so it's
way
far back for me.
Yeah, it's I didn't do it in the client. I went ahead and because it's the only cast game I think, so it should be pretty easy.
Gotcha.
I'm just not allowed to win games where I get more than 10 kills in Clash. 11 and 3 and 1 on Kha'Zix.
I was 0 and 4 on Cassiopeia in that game. How
many assists though?
No wait. Oh wait, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you had the most kill like between the 3 games. You had the most cumulative kills on our team for the first
oh, yeah,
day.
that's right, I did. That's pretty cool. Here we are. History of the past game. Yeah, I was 9-8, so like 1-for-1 almost every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got first tower that game. That you played York, I think.
Yeah, that was York on the 3rd.
Yeah, yeah. And then, gosh, big on that screen. It was 4-15. Their Kai'Sa was incredible, 22-3.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, just absolute. Like we could not fight when she was up, or we had to like blow her first. So it was pretty cool. And I think that was the hardest working half of all of them because he did 23-1 or 23-2 as Bane the previous game when we were doing the scouting. Like,
Oh,
it was
yeah, I remember that.
absolutely wrecking shit constantly. So it was pretty rough for our bot lane. I think he
Yeah.
didn't even get executioner's calm until 32 minutes. But yeah,
Yeah.
the game went on for 47 minutes.
Jeez.
It's pretty nuts.
So honestly, like with the whole Clash experience, one of my big takeaways was like how I guess impressive it is to watch pro players. So obviously, and I'm not trying to say that Clash is anywhere near the pro level experience, but the fact that I'm so used to going into solo queue, right? And most of my champ pool are strong champions that don't have an absurd pick rate or an absurd ban rate, right? So I very rarely get one of my champions banned in a lobby in solo duo because no one can scout me, right? And I think that's pretty common, right? One of the main pieces of advice for like climbing is to one trick a champion, right? So just play one champion, nail the mechanics, get really comfortable with them every game, and you'll climb.
have
And
a
it's
couple
true.
Other champs you can pick, but
Oh yeah, for sure,
small
situational.
picture.
Yeah, and that's the main advice for climbing in solo duo. But I realized as we were playing Clash, I was like, wow, that is like the opposite of being successful in like a tournament setting, or being successful in like a pro setting, right? Because you can't. I mean, obviously the pros all have their signature champion, right? But you can't just rely on the one signature, right? They need to have a large pool, or at least a big enough pool to be versatile. And that's what I thought was cool, because it's like, for example, my Alawi was banned out 2 of the first 3 games. So in both of those games, they saw my history and they saw...
Dillian was banned every single time. As you
Exactly. Yeah,
I was hoping for a Teemo ban in there because I still had more mastery points on that.
But you don't have any
happened.
recent games on it. That was the problem.
That's true.
So with that, it's like, my Alawi's gone, and I expected that, so I was prepared with another pick. But then I noticed as we got on to like game 3 and game 4, even even the picks that I picked in place of Alawi started getting banned too. Because like if I did well on them, like I remember on our second day of the tournament, I had both Alawi and Yorick banned because I'd done well, on both of them. And so it's really crazy in that tournament setting, just how inverse the experience is, you could say, of like the solo duo. Because instead of just having your semi-blind picked stomping champion, you have to stomp with your backup basically. But I thought it was a refreshing experience. I liked it. Overall, I was really happy with the tournament. We didn't do as well the second day, but I think it was still fun to play in overall.
Yeah, it was still fun. I used to play like with Vantage League and like some of the competitive stuff you can sign up for, and this really brought that experience back. Like scouting groups beforehand, champ select being a real part of the game, and not just like the fan being paid for most.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. They just the surfing stuff gets a little bit better.
I mean, I don't know how much better it can realistically get, though. That's the thing. And not that I wouldn't want it to be, but I don't know how many measures they can take unless they start getting super strict about enforcing, like, single accounts to IPs or something like that. I don't know how you...
I don't know. They could have armor level 4 only.
It's true. Yeah, because you'd have to play a lot of games to get that.
Of course,
Hey, I mean, you heard Astros. Astros can still play. That works.
He's not that.
I'm not. Honor level 4, dude. Last checkpoint honor level 4.
See, that dog just called BS on you.
Dude, these dogs are fucking annoying. Probably gonna let him out in a second. I'm really tired of the barking.
Cool. So,
I
yeah,
just
those are-
lose
ahead.
game 1 every single time I play Clash. I don't think I've ever won day 1, game 1 in Clash. And I pop off those games, and then I just tilt and I don't want to play the rest of the night.
Yeah, I get that feeling. Did you guys ever hear anything about the trophies for Clash? Are those like in the season rewards?
I know Papa was talking about that, but I didn't follow that at all, so I don't.
Yeah, so on your profile, like there's a spot for trophy, and it says trophies are awarded to players that win one or more brackets in Clash, and we've won one, potentially more. So I didn't know if you guys had heard anything about that because I tried looking for
Oh.
it, I didn't find it.
Yeah, I see that
we
slot
we
now.
got the banner, which is cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, because I was gonna say because I didn't. So the last time they did Clash, I wasn't able to get onto a team until the third day, and then we lost both games very quickly. So this was actually my first time getting the banner, which was cool. But yeah, no, I don't know much. I'll see if I can find something, but yeah, we'll see. Oh, one other thing about the Clash tournament that helped, and because this is something that I probably should do more often, but that I never really do for some reason. Because so in that third game, like I was saying earlier, like I got way behind really early, and the enemy top laner was really letting me know it through all chat. And I like almost never almost never mute someone. I don't know why. Like I think like the flame will make me stronger or something. But I decided in that game, it's like
Sorry,
at
the third game or the first game?
third game. Yeah, first game wasn't anything, but the third game, like I was definitely behind. So like it wasn't even unwarranted flame. It was like totally deserved.
Yeah.
And I realized that if I tilted out, like the game was definitely going to be over. So I actually muted. And as much as I wish, that just the chat overall could be better moderated by Riot, and kept a little bit less flamey. I mean, honestly, just like kind of, I know I'm preaching to the choir to you guys, but just like muting the enemy team at the very least is
Alright,
so refreshing.
So, actually, I'm going to counter that because I just remembered what the turning point was in that third game.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
See, I didn't participate in this because I was banned.
Okay.
So you
All
tell
right,
the story,
so, like,
Zell.
we got to this point in the third game where, like, they were so far ahead, it was just not going to happen. If they tried to win, they would just win. And I'm like, Blake, I think, really had, like, White Popper really had his heart set on winning, like, going 3-0, and was really disheartened by the fact that we were against Smurfs and basically getting robbed. And so he just, like, he starts slapping me out, and he's just like, yeah, it takes, real men or whatever to basically, like, play on Smurf accounts to win Clash. Like, that's how you guys have to do things. You can't do it honestly or whatever. And they started, retorting back, basically saying that they weren't Smurfs or, like, this was, these were normal accounts or whatever. And I ultimately don't know if that's true or not. But regardless, the effect that it had on their mental and the effect that it had on their egos put them into, like, overconfidence mode times 10. Because they just thought that they had the game in the bag. And they kind of did. But then they just didn't close it out. They didn't finish us. And so eventually we scaled. And like Deja and I were talking about, we're like, what was the turning point of that game? I think the exact question was asked right afterwards. We had a couple of like fights that were, I think, pivotal there. But yeah, it was absolutely when Papa like sent that like really bitter message across the all chat. It was just like, oh man, we got this in the bag. We can't. There's no way we can lose. And then they lost. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think they had a base race towards the end too, which was especially disheartening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we had a Yorick to base race with, so. Well, and that was one of the things too. So, I guess kind of a warning to top laners. So I got crushed early, right? But I wasn't really down in CS. I just had like 3 deaths, which obviously is equivalent to about 60 CS down. But I was able to hold the CS and not get shoved off that too hard by Fiora. But then I was just letting, like, cause she bought Tiamat, which auto pushes the wave for her. So I just let the wave push in and, you know, farmed as safe as I could. And I don't know if it was frustration or just trying to build a lead in another lane, but Fiora just kind of left me alone for a while.
Yeah.
And so, you know, being able to farm unmolested, you know, just perfectly was also a big, you know, contribution, at least to my lane. And I've had that happen before, like where I get just dumpstered early, and then the enemy laner just leaves me alone for some reason, like they didn't think I was going to scale back into the
For
game.
some reason, it's usually they're fucking with everybody else.
Yeah, and it's true. And I'm not saying that that's 100% bad strategy as a top laner to, like, roam and spread the lead. But be cognizant of who you're leaving alone in lane. Because, like, she never came back top. And by, like, the next time she did come back, I was able to solo kill her. Because I had farmed up enough.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, just be careful with who you leave alone in lane no matter how far ahead you are. You know, because, like, you know, there's one thing to, like, roam and then come back and catch the wave and farm it back, but it's, like, to just constant roam, you know, you're doing nothing but shorting yourself.
So Astros, I heard that there was some sort of dispute between you and some other folks about the power level of Kali.
Oh, we're doing this.
Well, hey man, we don't have Pop on here today, so like, I'm just thinking you get a free platform, just kind of make your case if you want it.
You know, I think this can really only be settled in true rap battle fashion. I think that should be the medium by which you settle it ultimately.
I think podcast is sufficient, but I'll take a rap battle if it's going.
Well, it can be on the podcast.
Well, no, we're here now, and there's no one to battle because I'm not gonna pick that up.
Yeah.
I mean, I told Endeavor to make a list. Let's see if he made a list.
Did you make a list?
I don't have a written out list, but I have played against Akali. I meant to play a few games on Akali to get, like, kind of the other perspective. Because just kind of out of, you know, a pure sense of self-respect and whatnot, I don't generally play Akali. So, you know, I don't have the most... I don't have the most in-depth, I guess, opinion playing from her perspective, but playing against it, I've got plenty of experience.
Okay, so homework for you then is to play what?
I'll play 10 games. I'll play 10 games.
10 games
Hell yeah.
for Akali? All right. And we'll check on that win rate of
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't... I wouldn't be surprised if I feed my ass off, but, I mean, I can also feed my ass off on plenty of, you know, S-tier champions.
All right.
So, honestly, like, personally, though, I think just a lot of her... I think a lot of the frustration that comes from playing against her is just her seemingly infinite ability to escape and just high damage numbers, and, like, it just doesn't seem like there's good windows to trade against her unless she really unless she really messes up herself. I don't see very many concrete ways to force to kind of, like, force mistakes from her.
Okay.
So that's where a lot of my frustration comes. That being said, most of my champion pool is melee. So just the fact that it's like I get a single hit before she disappears into a shroud and then takes 3/4 of my health. That's, you know, what really annoys me. But I think there's a few tweaks that could be done to balance her out in my eyes. Obviously I'm not on the balance team, so I don't know how reasonable they are, but I feel like we could leave almost all of her abilities, you know, the general idea of them with a few tweaks to make her less frustrating. So, like, for example, I think it'd be cool if her ulti had to be not necessarily targeted on a champion, but it had to be cast, like, at a champion instead of also being able to be used as, like, a free flash. Because that's one of the things for me is just the fact that she can, you know... Is it her W that's the shuriken toss, Astros?
E.
E, okay. But yeah, so the fact that she can, like, shuriken and then ulti away, which is... isn't it a longer overall distance than Flash?
Yeah, it's 2 dashes.
Yeah, so it's like that's one of the big frustrations to me, and I think were you to adjust it, so you had to cast it, not necessarily like on a champion, but it had to like the path had to intersect with a champion or be in close proximity. That would kind of limit it to engage instead of disengage as well. Do you think that would like?
I kind of, yeah, okay.
Do you think that would break her Astros? Do you think that would make her unplayable?
She'd be unplayable at that point.
To require her to engage with the ulti instead of also being able to just eat out of frame?
Yep.
Okay.
It'd make her really bad.
But then, like,
So,
but what
okay.
about people like Katarina though? 'Cause, like,
That have a
Katarina only
blink?
yeah, but she she can blink out over short distance to a target.
She can blink to friendlies, to...
Yeah, but to a target. That's what I'm saying. Is like a Kali doesn't.
Well, I
have a
mean, you have
target.
champions like
can
LeBlanc
go
and
over a wall
Ari
in a
who
fog of
can go
war.
anywhere. Kiana can jump over walls. Zed can jump over walls. Talon can jump over walls. Like, it's an assassin thing. Assassins have high mobility.
Yeah, but again, Zed needs his W up in order to do that, and it's shorter range. The W also doesn't deal either a micro stun or execution damage.
Well, if she's using it in retreat, then it doesn't deal damage at all.
It's also a lot shorter range.
Yeah, but if the complaint is that...
And it's not a blink.
If the complaint is Akali can dash out instead of having to dash in, well, then she's using her most important ability to leave. So she doesn't have damage to kill you.
Well, yeah, but if she can either nuke you or be untouchable, it's kind of a...
So, I mean, nothing makes her immune to CC. I mean, like, Akali's weakness comes from most assassins'
Can that
weakness.
ult be interrupted?
Yeah. You can get, like, thresh hooked or flayed. It's a normal dash. It's not... You're not unstoppable. It's not Orin W or Hekramar.
So, like, Astros, you're not completely ignorant of the frustration of the community live. You think Kali's like fine?
I don't think she's fine. I think she's strong. I think she has a high skill floor, but it's not... The problem is she's not budgeted properly in her balance. So you give a champion that has 4 mobility spells, and you compare that to another champion with 4 mobility spells, which is LeBlanc, because she has W distort, W back, R distort, R back. But the LeBlanc damage comes from all her abilities, from her Q mark, from her W, from her chains, and electrocute. Akali's damage comes from her passive, and the thing with Akali's passive is, let me pull it up quick. It increases your auto attack range to 500 units for, it's like 3 or 4 seconds. It gives her 40% bonus movement speed for 2 seconds while moving away from the target. And when she leaves the circle that procs her empowered auto, she gets movement speed towards an enemy champion for 2 seconds. And then the damage itself it scales with both AD and AP, which is why Gunblade is so efficient on her. And it restores like a small bit of energy. It's not like it's not a lot, it's like 10, 15, and 20. But the issue is, you can proc it with your Q, you can proc it with your E, you can proc it with your R, and then your W gives you energy restoration. So the problem comes from, like, even if all of her damage was loaded in her Q and her R, and she had a different passive, say like a passive that just gave her like just a moment movement speed when moving in and out of the ring and no bonus damage, or like something of that nature, she'd be a lot easier to balance because you're only balancing around her R and her Q. So
but her Q has a 1 second cooldown.
It also costs half of her energy until you get later in the game, which, I mean, even at that point, it doesn't really matter. The hardest part about playing Akali in comparison to, like, like a control mage or something, is she really struggles to just carry a team comp or a team fight. Like she can nuke your damage, she can nuke your AD carry, she can nuke your mage, but if she doesn't kill all the damage carries and she doesn't have ulti, the champion is really fucking bad. Yeah, she's slippery, but she has to play way too offensively without having R to make it worth it. So I'm fine with them removing the micro stun on R. I mean, it's not like a super big deal. The issue is like Akali's cooldown is they're talking about increasing it more, and it's already at a 2-minute cooldown at rank 1, and you don't build CDR on Akali. Like your CDR comes from Hourglass, and that's that's pretty much
for her
it.
Q, you don't need CDR.
Well, her Q doesn't matter. Like if she doesn't have R, she can't play the game. Like,
yeah.
all right, so let's think of a champion like Gangplank who has a really impactful ulti, right? His ulti cooldown is. Why does this not tell me his cooldown?
Are you looking at like the league? You gotta go to the Phantom site.
Yeah. Because why would Riot have the cooldowns on their own? Yeah, his barrels are hard to hit, but I mean, playing Akali in late game team
with,
fights
like,
is
a
hard
good
to use.
Plank though, you have such a safe lane. You just harass with Q.
He's actually like super fucking broken right now.
Oh, agreed. I don't know why I haven't been seeing him much in solo queue, but like I don't want to change, especially into Alawi. He sucks to play it.
So they're talking about increasing her cooldown even more, and Gangplank's ulti is on a 3-minute cooldown because it's a global, which makes sense. But they're gonna, if they push her R back even more at level 1, she's gonna have almost as long of a cooldown as a global ulti, and that's just fucking dumb. I'd rather them take power out of her passive and put it into her R. And I hate the Akali E. I feel like it makes it so annoying. Because like it's good because it gives you mobility, but like if you think of old Akali who had the AoE, yeah, I just liked it better.
But don't you have the AoE from the Q?
Well, the old E was like a circular radius, like a Gangplank barrel.
Yeah, no,
Her Q is only like forward, and it's literally her only form of wave clear, which is also another thing with Akali. She's really bad around it, like taking objectives. There's like a lot of things you could do. I think like the biggest thing for Akali is her passive. There's too much power in it, and it doesn't allow like power to be anywhere else in the kit, because then it's just broken. But I also don't think she has the most overloaded kit in the game either.
no, I'd agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily the most in the
I
entire
mean,
game, but
I look at a champion like Kai'Sa, who has an attack speed steroid mixed in with an invisibility, an ulti that gives you like a 600 damage shield as an AD carry, a Q that can literally half health anyone, and a passive that does percent HP damage and can be procced by teammates. Like, I look at that.
It can't be detonated by teammates.
Well, yeah, okay, so it can't be finished by teammates, but like a teammate can just fucking. My Maokai can WQ you and you're at 3 stacks of a passive. And
Yeah, no, for
now
sure.
all I have to do is auto twice and you pretty much die. Like there's so much stuff I would have rather them do with Kai'Sa, because you can keep all those things like in a kit and still balance it. You could put the fucking
Well, and they have nerfed the shit out of like items that were really strong on her.
yeah, and that's another thing with Akali. Like Akali issue is a lot of her power also lies in fucking Gunblade, and if Gunblade wasn't an item, Akali would be a lot worse than she is.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, like, isn't Gunblade like the only surviving spell vamp? I guess Death's Dance is kind of the 80 equivalent to spell vamp. But
Yeah, it's the only option, because when she was released with life steal on her Q,
right? Yeah,
which
good times.
I mean, it wasn't awful. It helped her in laning phase because her laning phase was pretty ass, was like really ass. And that's like the weird thing, because I'd rather them nerf Akali and keep her playable and just.
So Astros, let's say that Akali stays exactly how she is right now. I have heard of some potential changes incoming on the PvE, like removing the micro stun. But let's say they don't ship any of those. Advise me as a, as like I mean, and I'm a top laner, right? So I rarely see a Kali top, especially in ranked. How do I out trade a Kali? Like, what are the what's the inside scoop on getting around her kit? Because like I said, for me, I rarely see any sort of chink in the armor that I can exploit. I just kind of have to survive and hope she doesn't roam and get kills. So what do I do to shut her down?
Oh, he'll just disconnected, but hopefully that doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just sent me a message. I think he's coming back.
Okay. So the way, a lot of it is champion dependent. So there's like Silas is. I fucking hate that matchup. I think Silas is actually just broken.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trash on both Kali and Silas, but definitely in the LCS, I've seen, especially with him stealing her ulti.
Silas is just really fucking strong early, and he procs Conquer really fast, so it makes it really hard for her. But like, so the big thing is, early especially, if she misses her Q and she doesn't hit you with it, she just loses half of her energy bar, and now she can't either A, like, pressure the wave, or B, like, trade with you efficiently, because now her trade is going to be Q, back out, get her passive, and empowered audio, and then if she's running electrocute, she's not going to proc it. If she's running Conqueror, she's only going to have 2 stacks. And then, I mean, the other thing you can run is, like, Grasp into certain top lane matchups, and then Fleet into, like, hard matchups, but, so a lot of it comes, like, playing around her energy bar, and then her, like, big cooldowns. So her W at rank 1 is, like, 20 second cooldown. I think it's 20 at all ranks, actually.
Let me take a look. Yeah, it's 20 at all.
Yeah, so that's, like, a massive window where it's really hard to play as a Kali in a lane. You're super, like, gankable. Because even though you have, like, an E and an R, the E is, like, super telegraphed, and it actually has, like, a pretty decent, like, wind-up animation for most, like, movement abilities. And then if she Rs, like, her R is now on a 2-minute cooldown, and, like, her ability to one-shot you is really negative. So, playing around her energy and her shroud are really important, and then, just, like
how do you dodge, because the Q cast animation is super quick. So is it just, like, kind of, like, faking him out like you're walking up to the wave and backing off?
Yeah, a lot of it comes from, like, understanding her distances, which can be kind of deceptive, because, like, sometimes she, like, throws a Q and you're like, wait, that hit me? And then sometimes she throws a Q and it's like, how did that not hit me?
Yeah. Because, like, I was playing Veigar into a Kali the other day, mid lane, and, it's like, I was just trying to, like, auto her, because I was like, okay, I'm ranged, she's melee, I should have the advantage, but it lined me up so that, like, if I could get an auto on her, she could Q me back.
Yeah, and that's where it kind of comes into, like, range matchups can be kind of difficult for her. Nico is kind of a pain in the ass because the Kali is very linear, and it allows her to land her root and Q on you, like, really easily. The new thing that has kind of come up when playing into, like, heavy poke matches, like Jace or any of these, like, high poke mages in mid lane, is you just go D-Shield, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, I think it is, and you just kind of survive the lane as much as possible. You can go to Revitalize. I don't do it unless I'm going Fleet as well, just because...
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Like, if you're going to hard stack the healing, you might as well, like, go all in with it at that point.
Gotcha.
I think another problem is, like, she does have, like, 4 rune choices that she can use, and she can use pretty efficiently. I think the worst one out of all of them is Grasp or Fleet, because Grasp kind of gets her through the early game against
Grasp
certain
is, like,
tanks.
A purely lane-oriented rune.
Yeah, and Fleet's kind of the same way. Fleet doesn't really do anything for you later.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Zell.
Hey. Sorry.
No worries.
It's alright. You got tilted because you were talking about a Kali, I understand.
This is what happened. No, yeah, power just blinked, and then I restarted the computer and it blinked again. I was like, hopefully it stays on.
Alright, fingers crossed.
Playing into a Kali is a lot about distances.
We're talking about how to exploit a Kali now, like...
That is actually the question I wanted to ask. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I was telling Astros. It's like, hey, To me it
like that,
feels
too.
yeah.
Right.
So
It's
so
like-
he just
it's
went
good
over
crap.
most of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. I'll listen to the podcast.
Yeah, so basically just like try and get her to use her abilities so that she's low energy / doesn't have the shroud, and then look to chunk her then, right, Astros?
Yeah, so a lot of like people who don't put like a lot of games on a Akali, like I even find myself doing this, is a lot of your trade pattern is Q, you get out for your passive, and then you Q again, and if you're able to keep trading, you drop your W because it gives you more energy. So it allows you to Q again, and then you also have energy for E and all this stuff. It's you're like it's not your all in trade pattern, but it's like I'm going in for like a really big trade. And a lot of like really bad, or not really bad, but like inexperienced Akalis, they'll Q, and then they'll W right away to get in, like, because your W gives you movement speed and allows you to get out of your, into your passive auto attack even faster. But then she only has energy for 2, because you pretty much recap your energy, because you only queued once. And then it allows you to get it like farther away, because now she doesn't have the movement speed from dropping her W. So watch for that. That's usually like the biggest sign I see when I'm playing into Akali's. Like if they pick it before me, is if like they Q and insta W, because then they leave themselves open for like really bad trades. And there's times I fuck up and I do it too, but
So my issue, I've played largely control mages. Played Zilla to her, Malzar, typically. Is she sustains through all of my pokes. I can even hit her when she's in the shroud. I just know where she is. And with like Malvar Q and space states and all that, Zillion bombs are really good just to hit in the shroud, as are even Vigar keys. But she literally just sustains through all of that damage to the point where I have no mana and she has 3/4 health and she just always wins. Like, that's it feels impossible. Like there feels like there's no counter. Like I can hit everything. Doesn't matter.
so that's kind of the thing we went over. So Akali sustain right now is in somewhat of a problematic point in my opinion, just because of how well she uses stuff like Ravenous Hunter, Taste of Blood, Gunblade. A lot of Akalis start D-Shield now because you take a lot of poke. But now, like, the new thing is taking D-Ring for the ability to take 2 pots. Akali has a lot of options in terms of what she can use and what she can take, and even like what she can build and get away with. Because you'd think on like an assassin where it's just like I want damage, 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 and nothing but damage. But there's like a lot of games where I end up with like Leandries, and I'm just there as like it gives me a little bit more HP. I'm able to deal with tanky players a little bit easier because of the burn and then the increased damage that I get from being in combat, and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that the Akalis that you're versing are probably taking like D Shield, Second Wind, and then are they taking like Fleet Footwork?
They're not taking fleet footwork, but Vamp Scepter is like the first thing they get. And they'll like I'll poke them out of lane, they'll go back get that so that I can help.
Yeah. So the issue that's there is like control mages aren't known for having like crazy like instant damage, right? It's kind of like consistent sustained damage besides Vigar. But Vigar early doesn't really have that I'm going to insta burst you until he has
Not at
items.
all,
No.
yeah. And he has huge mana expenditure if he tries to use a full
Yeah.
rotation.
And I mean if you miss your cage, you just then Akali just has free range to get up all in your shit, you know?
Sure, no, and I usually use my cage defensively. I try to
Yeah.
use both with the Q or using the W kind of as a trading stance, where like they're gonna have to sacrifice the damage.
I think a really good way to neutralize Akali, and I mean, it's the same way you kind of neutralize a Talon, where you just don't give him the window to kill you, and you force him to have to leave lane to get leads. The issue is this is solo queue, and people don't listen to fucking pings.
I was gonna say,
and you
'cause that's
can't
the thing.
follow an Akali or a Talon. You just can't do that.
yeah, because
No, yeah.
you can't go into Fog of War.
No, and like, so believe me, like I agree with that strategy. That's my normal strategy.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying when it comes to Talon, for instance, as Vigar specifically, it's really easy. I just take exhaust, walk up to
That's another thing. Akali fucking sucks into exhaust. It's really hard to play the fucking game.
Yeah, that's why I take it versus. Oh, I take it most games, but usually assassin.
It's super good right now, and it's super good into Akali because like if she's R'ing into you for the micro stun, her micro stun doesn't do like it doesn't do a lot of damage. I think it's like
No.
100 damage or something.
Well,
85.
yeah, and a lot of the frustration there is just like stopping channel's abilities would be its main power for that first one. The gap close and the
Yeah, it's the gap close. Like half the time I'm not even using it for the stun. Like the stun is just there because it allows me to get that half second where I can start kiting out for my passive. And even then, you don't really need it. So I know there's talks about taking it out, and that's fine with me. I don't really care. But if she uses that, her next ulti is the one that matters. That's the one that does execute
yeah, that's the
damage.
execute, yeah.
So if you can exhaust, like as she stuns you, you have, I think it's 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds after she uses her first R. She can't R again until that's over. Let's see, is it 2.5? It is 2.5. And then she has that for 7.5 seconds. And usually it's pretty telegraphed when you're looking to go in with that second R. So if you can exhaust, then it's like super good. Also, barrier is a good summoner spell into her too. But I hate playing mid into fucking exhaust. It's so AIDS.
Yeah, well, and I play top, so I can't ever take exhaust because I'd be basically inting it into the team if I did.
It's been the mid lane summoner I should have been taking.
Yes. No more smite.
I use my resilience, but
Toxic.
yeah. I'm low on.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
Anyway,
I
I
want
think
that.
that's about all the Akali I can handle, though. If I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's fine.
I want them to change her E.
It's frozen on my computer.
It's frozen on mine
Probably
too.
some announcements and then,
Let's do it.
so real quick, we got episode 250 coming up. We're gonna think of something really clever for that episode. It might be a quiz show. There might be I don't know, might be everyone who's ever been on the podcast will be on reunion clusterfuck. Who knows what we're gonna do? But we're gonna do something special. However, it's gonna take some time for us to figure that out. So we're gonna take a break next week. There will be no podcast, and then the week after we'll resume with episode 250. Also, there will be an announcement for attorney. I'll have some good rules and signups all ready to go for that.
Is that gonna be Summoner's Rift?
Yeah,
On the tournament?
Yeah,
Cool.
it'll be back to Dill's little tournaments kind of thing going on.
I won the last one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I won ARAM. Never mind.
Wait, that was Well, we had TFT and then ARAM, right? And
I didn't play TFT.
You didn't play TFT. Okay. Yeah, ARAM was kind of a lot of fun. Personally.
I don't know. My team had a mental boom, and then we just won. I don't know.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, but we're gonna do Summoner's Rift this next time, and I'm gonna tweak a few things and try and make sure that everyone shows up. I don't want to fail on the tournament side. So hold people accountable, get good teams, and yeah, hopefully I'll get to play. Great chance.
Just sign up. Fuck
yeah,
it.
I got that feeling, got the itch for it, especially since I'm playing Clash. I really like competitive stuff. Which is pretty cool. Anyway, you guys got any announcements?
I don't know what's going on with Riot's LP awards, but I'm not very happy about it. I'm down to a solid 13 LP a win, which is great. I won 12 of 14 matches to get through a single division, but
It's your Diamond 3 now, right?
yes, and it's probably because I don't think the game thinks I deserve to be that good, so I think it's trying its hardest. Because I actually lose 16 or 17 every loss now.
I think
So
you're
it's
about right for Diamond 3.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I think now that I got promoted, I've lost 2 in a row.
It takes
So
a lot to be able to say you're not hard stuck there. It really will.
it's insane the number of people that are caught in D4.
You wanna know what also is crazy? My
Tell me.
win loss for today. I've won 3 games between all my accounts, and I've lost
You
10.
need a calculator?
10. I'm 3 for 13.
Nice.
It's
That's a rough one.
I won one Akali game today. I'm 1 and 7 today
Hey.
on Akali. That's
Oh,
fucking
holy
disgusting.
shit. I think
Dude,
it's
look at this.
disgusting
I'm
when you see it
15 and
after-
I'm 15 and 5 on Kiana and we lose. I'm 16 and 11 on Yasuo and we bot laners are fucking awful. I'm done with this game.
Okay, so quick question for you then, Astros. When are you guys doing another TFT episode?
That was just kind of like we didn't have a fucking episode that week, so we did one. I mean, I could probably get them to do it next week to make up for the no episode.
I was talking with Ash, and he was like spitting crazy advice to do TFT, and I took some of that, and I won, or I got the top 3 with the next 3 games I played. So that felt really good. Yeah, I'm in gold in TFT now. I'm gonna keep playing.
I mean, I can talk to Hash and make sure it's okay with Papa. I can do like a TFT episode.
Yeah, no, Hash is super
Yeah,
knowledgeable.
it was great.
Wait, before we end the episode, I want to cover Team Liquid 1 NA.
What?
Team Liquid 1 NA.
That was a good series. I'm glad it. I mean,
Did anyone
just-
watch the Fnatic G2 game yesterday?
No.
Or was that
yes.
this morning? Dude,
that was
Fnatic
yesterday
is
morning.
fucking bad. I don't know how they lost game 3. That was so depressing.
No, how about the total off meta bot lane comps though? The Garen, Yumi, and the Mordekaiser Pite.
Dude, it's fucking EU. NA's fucked when we go to Worlds.
So, how do you think EU is gonna do against like Korea in the LPL though?
Well, that's the thing.
That's the
SKT
thing,
is
is, like-
fucking scary right now. I wouldn't be surprised if SKT win Worlds again.
Yeah,
They're really fucking good right now. Faker is like on form again.
gotcha. What about IG?
Eh.
I haven't been watching them as closely just because of the weird, the time difference.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I,
Faker
mean,
looks
I
really
was
good.
blown away at That was at Rift Rivals, right? Where we had the TLG2 finals.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then G2 3-0'd.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Dude, that's
But
the
hey.
thing. Like,
NA beat Korea, so to get there.
NA beat Korea when Korea was like inting. I don't think Korea's gonna int.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, like TL just plays standard League of Legends, and it's season 9, and League of Legends is anything but standard right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's a lot of. I don't know. And how do you feel about that? Do you like the more formulaic league? You know, kind of the calm and calculated, or do you like these bizarre comped, semi-fiesta games? Which
I
do you
mean-
prefer to watch, and which do you prefer? So I guess which do you like better to watch, and which do you like to play?
I
That
just wanna
differs
I
for
wanna
me.
play whichever game my bot lane doesn't go 0-12.
Okay,
But
I
like
hear you.
honestly, like a mix of both is really good to watch because it keeps it interesting. Like I don't want to watch just like straight like 5v5 like tank top, tank jungle, control mage mid, basic AD carry, enchantress support. I don't want to see that every game, but I also don't want to see like fucking Garen Yumi bottom every game either.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Sona Tarek or Sona Tom. So like a good mix of both because I feel like having the ability to play both is what actually makes you a good team. And that's where I think Team Liquid struggles because they play basic League of Legends and then they have Sona Tom Kench and Sona Tarek and then that's kind of all we've seen. And they didn't look
Yeah.
great in any finals or against
No,
Clutch.
I wasn't like blown away. Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, and it was really close with
Well,
the clutch game. And
Yeah, I mean
wouldn't
it was
even say
3-2 and 3-2. I mean
that- Yeah, and I wouldn't even say that like TL was just like inting in the clutch series either. Like clutch played.
Clutch
really
turned it
well.
on. Clutch is like a really weird team in comparison to the rest. They have a lot of like they have like the Kiana and then they have Huni who has his Rumble and his Gangplank. Like Clutch is and like Vulcan and Cody Sun they're a really good bot lane and it allows Lyra to just stop inting. Like Clutch's problem was Lyra was really fucking bad. And DeMonte was getting smashed by every laner, but now he has his pocket picks that are forcing bans, so
Yeah.
we'll figure out what our third NA team is. I'm hoping it's Clutch, but they have to beat FlyQuest, and then they have to beat CLG, and then they have to beat TSM in order to make it to Worlds.
Let's be honest. If they make it to the game with TSM, they're gonna beat TSM.
Yeah, it's kind of dependent because now they have time to actually play with Spica before going in.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And-
they have time to find a jungler now.
I mean, honestly, besides game 1 against Clutch, like, Spica didn't look awful. He didn't look great, but he didn't look awful. Bjergsen didn't really play well that series. Broken Blade hasn't played all that great since spring. Like, Sven was one of the best performing members on TSM in that Clutch series, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
That's all from
Yeah.
me.
No, but yeah, I'm excited to see the end of the season. I think it should be good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool, Zill.
All right, friends.
Peace
Yeah,
out.
I'm done. Let's go home.
All right.
Oh, I am home.
Have a good one, guys.